Hey everyone, this is David Starr from WatcherPass.com, your website for movie reviews, interviews, and recommendations. Today I'm joined by Edward Drake, the director, co-writer, and star in a small role of the all-new horror family drama Broil. The review's already up on the website, so you can check out our thoughts and watch it yourself on October 13th. We're going to talk to Edward in just a second, but first, let's check out the trailer. Also, if you like this interview and want more of them, please like and subscribe. It helps us out a lot. Thank you.
Father, this will be our last harvest.
No child of mine has ever left the family. 100 more harvests.
No.
50.
No.
1. And your firstborn. And you too can have your freedom.
Who are we?
I've been waiting for you to ask that question. The Sinclairs are gifted on purpose to make the world right.
I will not die tonight.
We die on the traitors tonight!
A toast, good family, good drink, and great food.
Hey Ed, can you hear me?
Hey.
Hey, how are you?
Good, good. Sorry, just having some technical difficulties over here.
No worries at all.
Thanks for your patience, David.
Yeah, no, thanks for joining me. I'm all ready. I've got my my apron, my red and purple lights ready.
Love it. Love the theme.
Yeah. Well, awesome. So thank you so much for joining me. I just wanted to check at the start if you've got like a hard stop or anything. I'll try to keep it to about a half an hour, but
All good, too. All
I
good.
do like to talk.
Love it.
Awesome. So the movie is Broil. This is Ed Drake or Edward Drake?
Call me Sally if it makes you happy. Ed
Okay.
Drake. There
All
we
right.
go.
This is Ed Drake, the director, co-writer, and star. He has a billing in the IMDb listing as well.
No, that
No?
was a cheeky little, we needed someone to play a silhouette, and so I just run through the background.
That still works. Of the all new film Broil. It's a horror family drama. It kind of like seems to kind of meld a couple different styles. It's kind of tough to put in a bucket, but it was very enjoyable. I really liked it. It
Appreciate
feels
it.
very unique. And that's always something that I appreciate when I see a film.
Thank you.
So I guess the first question is, it's kind of coming out right now where it's I guess it's kind of on the tail end of quarantine, but maybe quarantine's starting back up. So what was it like to release the film during the pandemic? I know the physical and digital release is October 13th. I'm not sure if there was a theatrical run or a festival run or something on those lines.
Yeah, there was, and that got a little scuttled thanks to our friend Corona. But it was for the best. I think that a lot of these festivals that it was selected for, hopefully they'll all be back next year. But yeah, releasing something during the pandemic is a really interesting experience because most of the time you're in this strange space of being able to feel the energy coming back from the audience when you're at a festival and that sort of a thing. But now it's just in the void, and you just hear these little these little blips of messages back, and it's really, I honestly, I think that what the pandemic did do is it hastened something that was already happening, which was a massive transition for films like Broil onto streaming services. But when we made Broil, I really made it with an audience in mind, and even if it only screened a handful of times, to be in an audience for some of those moments, I just hope that people can watch this movie with friends safely and to get that effect.
Yes, and also in a good setup. I was going to ask this later, but I'll skip now because it seems like the appropriate time. I watched this on my home theater, and just the music and the sound were so fulfilling. There was some scenes with these really deep bass hits, and then there was some really fantastic classical music that kind of played up. And then I also watched on my iPad just to prepare, and you just didn't get that same experience. So I think this is definitely a movie that you want to see with friends, because there's a lot of very interesting someone's shocking scenes, and also see it with a in a good setup. So hopefully people can do that as well.
Yeah, our sound designer and composer, Hugh Wellinger, he is a legend. And I'm working with him again on this film that we actually just shot during quarantine. And he is, he's one of my favorite human beings. He actually wrote the score for Broil in 8 days from inception to handing it over. Yeah, it was this crazy mad rush, but he's a bit of a mad genius, and I love him. But yeah, she's awesome.
So wait, did he do all, like, there were techno songs, there was some electronic, there was classical, and like some I'm forgetting my history, but there was like a allegato. There's some style that has like a bright kind of light tone. He wrote all that.
Yep. Every allegro, it all came in. I pushed him pretty hard on the Vivaldi influences as well. But yeah, he delivered, he crushed it. I'm so happy that people are connecting with the score as well, because Hugh's a great musician. He goes by Losi as his little, his DJ side project, electronic side project. But I hope that this film kind of breaks him out a little bit more, because he's got so much to give, and I just can't wait to see where he goes.
Yeah, is DJ sets, do they have kind of a similar kind of melting pot of musical influences, or is he kind of more on the traditional DJ style?
This was a bit more eclectic for him, but I think it showed that great musicians can, if you've got a strong foundation, you can actually flick between genres quite, like, in a really interesting way. There's this great Ed Banger Records is this amazing French record label, and they do mostly electronic and a little bit of hip hop and heavy dance stuff. But what they did is they sort of been 2 years ago now. It's called 15 Ans, and they got an orchestra to cover all of their greatest hits from this record label. So it's like Justice, Sebastian, DJ Meaty, and good music you can take the melodies and the choruses and you can thread that through different genres. And it's fascinating. And dude, check it out. I'll send you a link because it's really cool stuff.
No, I definitely want to try that. That sounds awesome. It sounds kind of similar on the electronic side to like Apocalyptica, who is kind of a fun thing. We actually played that at my wedding. We had that music playing during some of it, because it sounds like good classical music, but then if you kind of listen to it, you can hear the influence. So
Yep, that's awesome. It's awesome.
That was fun. The music is just really struck me. I guess the next question is, what inspired this movie? Is everything all right with you and your family? Are you okay? Is this a cry for help, or?
Yeah, no, I just think that there was an opportunity to look at family conflict in a really interesting way that I hadn't seen done before. And I love films. If you take something like Hereditary, Hereditary, that was getting a lot of heat, and I think honestly we were able to take a bit of those fumes and to help with our financing, and to be like, well, I think people want to look at the ways their families are causing conflict in the horror. You take the horror genre, but it's so broad, and so I would, Broil is a horror movie, but we're at one very different end of the spectrum than, say, Scream, or even Shaun of the Dead. And I wanted it to be a fun experience for the audience as well. And so when you look at what Radio Silence did with Ready or Not, which I didn't know about when we were developing and shooting and editing the film, and then Ready or Not just dropped, and I was like, this is rad. I love this.
Yeah.
I think audiences just want to talk about the ways that secrets in families can hurt each other. And I just saw an opportunity to tell a really twisted story about the Sinclairs, and yeah.
Radio Not was one of my favorite movies last year. It was again similar to this movie, just kind of, I didn't know much about it, and then you come in and it has this just fantastic style. And one of the things I loved about this film, there is definitely a family dynamic, but it's kind of, I liked the kind of religious light influences, and there's a little bit of mob style aspects. There's a lot of little kind of nuances in the film that kind of make it a very interesting story.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I tried to put a lot of thought into you know, what this kind of family would look like, and what's the truth behind these, like the core, what's broken here within this family. And yeah, and you know, I'm very grateful that a lot of people are saying that they're seeing some other, you know, some of their family members reflected in the Sinclairs, and it's just different perspectives. And I'm like, well, I really hope they're not doing some of that shit. But
say,
like,
do you call the police when they say that?
I'm just like, do you need help? Is this something like, yeah.
Yeah, the you know, the ancient references were interesting too. You know, it kind of had an old guard, the Netflix film kind of feel in some parts where they would talk about, you know, it didn't harp on it, kind of like how that movie did, but there was enough in there that you kind of got the backstory without like them needing to really kind of spell it out, which is one of the things I like in film, is if they kind of lead you there but don't, you know, necessarily draw you a picture of what happened.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I was actually wrote a novel that hasn't been published yet, but while I was writing Broil, and it's the power of the imagination of the audience, and through implying something, you can actually let the audience like go to that place for you, and then it saves you, you know, 3-4 pages. Because if you're exactly right, if we did try to extrapolate on every little kind of detail that we're threading through, I don't think I want to watch that movie. But if you hint at it, you give this history and this world outside of the frame, and it just, yeah, it's cool. I love when movies do that.
Yeah, definitely. And also, I mean, I don't know what your budget was like, but I imagine if you had to explain all those ancient
And
references.
that reason as well. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So I talked to a lot of indie filmmakers, and budget is always a consideration. And it's amazing what indie films can do with the limited resources.
$148,000.07.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Very proud of that. Thank you very much. So much fun though. We had a killer casting crew, like for real.
Yeah, I was gonna get to the cat. And my mind is blown how you got those actors for that much. You know, Timothy V. Murphy was so much fun to see. He just changed everything about him. Like, you know, there was like some aspects of Daniel Day-Lewis from There Will Be Blood. There was some aspects of other mob bosses, and then his accent was you know, fun to listen to. Every time he said something, I just wanted to hear it. There was a line where he just describes the meal, and I was just kind of hanging on every word he was saying.
He's phenomenal. Yeah. Hopefully I'm working with him again in April, and we yeah, he was shooting me some text messages yesterday, and I can't not see August Sinclair when I read the messages now. Edward, are you free for coffee?
Like, no.
Good, let's Zoom. You got Zoom? Yeah, let's do that. But yeah, he's dude, we lucked out with that cast. It was a crazy cast. Like, and it's when you go through it, it's not yeah, I got super lucky. Very grateful, very happy with how it all turned out as well.
Yeah, kind of the two kind of stalwarts, or, you know, base columns, or you want to call them, were Timothy V. Murphy and then Jonathan Lipnicki, who also just completely transformed this film, but in a very different way. Like, I like that they were such different characters, but also just completely, you know, enveloped, like, you know, became their roles.
Yep, 100%. Yeah.
And so I assume that's how the chef's character was written, or did Jonathan kind of take it one step further, or go back a little bit from kind of how the chef's mannerisms and character were?
Yeah, no, we it's interesting because I always wrote the chef on the spectrum, because for me, trying to find the truth of this outsider who's introduced into this, you know, dangerous situation, who is supposed to know all these things, who is supposed to be able to do this. I think in my mind, the truth there is that, you know, they would have, you know, been diagnosed as Asperger's, or with Asperger's, or somewhere in that realm. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that spoke to Johnny as well, because we've both got people in our life that are on the spectrum. Mm-hmm. And we just thought that there was a really interesting opportunity for representation there. And yeah, I'm really grateful that that it's connecting, because I think that yeah, I'm very proud with what he did.
Yeah, no, and it fits well with kind of the, when you're trying to find someone that is relatable, but then also can handle the situation. I think that was a good choice, and the representation aspect is also, it's always good to see different kinds of characters, different types of people represented on screen. So I think that was a very solid choice.
Cheers, yeah, and he's also the perfect. I mean, the Sid Lawson or the chef is also the perfect opposite to August Sinclair, whose Agent of Chaos, Devil May Care style. He's not a humble man.
You can say that again.
Yeah, but then when you bring in the chef, there's a meekness, this understated quality that kind of gives him. He's almost like, I love that world. I could write those characters all day.
He's like quietly strong, and one of the things that I really liked, and I assume this was intentional, but maybe it was just them spending so much time together, is like some of their mannerisms, not often, but some of them did kind of cross over. Like I noticed the chef would kind of hunch over in the same way that August would in some scenes, kind of that I don't know, that kind of like stooped gait.
That's all Lipnicki. Yeah, Johnny's a phenomenal little actor, and he can bring it. I just wish he would get more opportunities to show what he can do, because he is grappling with his legacy of his past credits, and that's hard for anyone. But I hope with hope one step at a time, casting directors, producers can just start to take bigger chances on Johnny. This is a good dude as well. Like I love the guy.
Fingers crossed. He was really good in this one, and I did the same thing. I looked him up, and basically every story is former person from that former movie.
But honestly, we were being a bit cheeky with the credits for this one. We wanted to do Timothy V. Murphy, Nels Lenison, Avery Konrad, and reintroducing Jonathan. And he pitched that to us, and I was like, "That's great. Let's save it for your Instagram."
And so you mentioned the rest of the cast and kind of just how great they were. How did you find them? Did you just kind of go through a traditional casting director? Were there any that you'd worked with in the past that kind of signed on?
Nope, never. Yeah, no, it was pretty mental. So I had I was working with this great production manager who put me in contact with a very low-key casting director in Vancouver, and I said to them, "Look, I've got this script. I need to find some really, really strong actors that perhaps haven't been seen in these kind of roles before." I think that's what also helped, where we were able to get like Annette Riley, who at the time was on the Netflix Sabrina show, and she took on read of it, and then she called me, and we had a chat about Shakespeare. And I didn't know this, but she's a classically trained Shakespeare thespian, and she runs a theatre company in town. And I was like, I think that you can deliver these lines and some of the dialogue in such an organic way that, hopefully you could do the bard proud. And then she was sufficiently flattered. And so she was like, "This is great, let's do it." But every actor had a little story like that. We didn't do a traditional casting process at all. It was like a lot of just instinct and recommendations of like, you should check out this person, you should hear, have a chat here. And then we just got really lucky. And then the producer knew Tim from another movie. And that was pretty much the reason why the producer came on, was just being like, "I think I can get you Tim Murphy." I'm like, "Good."
That's a great reason.
Yeah. Well, I mean, funnily enough, we didn't know if Tim was going to show up on the first day.
Oh, he was playing that power. He was using that power wisely.
No. It wasn't even on. It wasn't a power play or anything. It was he was on Snowpiercer, so he was up shooting his arc for Snowpiercer, and I guess his phone died the night before, and he'd had very limited communication with Tim's an old Irishman. He's a Luddite. I love him, but like, he needs to get better with messaging. And so literally day one, we're standing there. I think it's like 5:45 in the morning, and everyone's looking around and being like, yeah, we really hope he shows up. And I'm like, me too. And then lo and behold, the driver calls and says, yes, we have Tim. He's en route. I'm like, fantastic. Let's go make a movie.
Making that grand entrance unintentionally, but still a little bit like August Sinclair would.
Oh yeah, it's such an August move, Tim. What do you think you're doing?
Yeah, I should mention, we have an interview with him, and we're just pen pals right now. So
he's awesome.
Just kidding. I would love to talk to him, but maybe sometime in the future.
Yeah, totally, dude. Yeah. He's such a generous guy, and we've got this other little thing cooking. So hopefully we can talk more about that soon. And yeah, it'll be good.
Fingers crossed. So one thing I mentioned in the review is, I love the style, like some of the shot choice, and then the little hints of red and religious iconography and art that was kind of peppered throughout. I assume that was all, your choices or your cinematographer's choices. It really kind of had some nice through lines there, and it reminded me a lot of other kind of films that use those styles to kind of like impart dread or impart kind of age or classicalness.
Yep, absolutely. The cinematographer Wai-Sun Chang, it was the first movie I'd done with him, and he's like a brother to me now. We actually just shot the Quarantine movie together as well, and Broil was a way for both of us to level up in a really big way, and we shot on these really like cumbersome anamorphic lenses, but they gave the world this soft, timeless touch as well. And one of our biggest points of reference were the works of Caravaggio, where they have very high contrast with pops of color coming through. And we wanted to play with the idea that the gold at the start of the film slowly fades and becomes a little bit more stale by the end of it. And so it's in the color grade and all that. But our cinematographer, why he's awesome. Like, he's honestly one of my favorite people, and he's so incredibly gifted. Yeah, very lucky, very fortunate.
Kind of sounds like this whole film was just kind of an amazing group of very talented people kind of letting themselves, make the most of their talents.
I got so lucky. Yeah,
I think we all did, actually, for having this movie out. So
cheers, man. Yeah, it was. No one thought it was going to get made. Like, literally, we had like a lot. People were reading the script and being like, you can never get this made. It's not happening. And I was like, just watch me. And then I think that boldness, if you will, attracted quite a few other like really talented individuals, and slowly the circle just started to grow and grow. And the line producer from that movie, John, he and I just did the Quarantine movie together. And so and I'll tell you what, like, we had 12 days to shoot Broil, and
wow,
on that budget, that 148 budget. But I just did a movie with Bruce Willis, and we only had 10 days for it, and that was like pulling teeth. It was like it was a mad rush, because you got to this, that sort of thing. But then with Broil, with someone like Tim, he's like, what do you want me? I'm just like, sir, if you can just stand over there, hit your mark, say your lines, and look good doing it, and we'll have a bit of a chat about the dialogue. And then it's like, yep, okay. Then we're off and running. And so it's there's a part of me that the freedom that you get with a lower budget is phenomenal. I will say that.
I have not heard freedom being described as one of the things you get from a lower budget, so I'm good to hear. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, it is a trade-off. It's definitely like, okay, so we can't afford Atmos for our exterior shots. That's $12,000 a day. We don't have that. Okay, what's another solution? And you just adapt, and you figure it out. And hopefully that kind of ingenuity shows with Broil.
Yes, definitely. I guess going to some more aspects, 12 days is insane for this movie. There's so many different parts, but one of the things I've loved is just that house. You know, where did you find that house? I assume a location scout or maybe one of your rich benefactors. I don't know where that house came from, but it was beautiful.
Man, again, this was, this kismet serendipity. Just we had a lot of really beautiful people involved in the production. So our line producer was also our location manager, John Elvers, and I love John. And we had dinner last night, and we were actually talking about this very story where he was doing these commercials. He just did one for Nintendo, and like he was like, look, I scouted this place. It's $6,000 a day, but the dude that runs it is actually really chill. And I was like, all right. And so we just drive there, and we ended up just hanging out and just talking movies. And his name's Sheldon, the guy who was running this mansion called Overland Mansion. And then he's like, yeah, okay, I like what you guys are trying to do. Okay, just take care of the place. And so we actually only had it for 4 days.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That explains the schedule.
Yeah. And then we got to day 4, and then Sheldon comes in, and he's seen that John and everyone and all of our PAs have taken such good care protecting the property, and we lined all the walls that weren't in frame and with cardboard just to make sure that, like, a C-stand wasn't going to knock it or anything like that. And he saw that we were taking really good care of the property, and he's like, look, that woman is supposed to come in here next week, but I can tell them to go away if you guys just want to hang out. And we're like, yeah, we kind of don't have the budget to afford it. And he's like, no, it's all right. So we ended up getting an extra week in the house.
Oh, wow. Wow.
We planned on it. And it was just, we didn't actually shoot that much more in the house than we had planned, but it was just like good nature, just, it's just good energy. And yeah, I really appreciated that.
Yeah, that must have just been a weight off your shoulder, just in case, maybe you're looking at some scenes and you kind of want to do one again, and then you have the ability to do that. So. Oh,
definitely, dude. Definitely. And I think it was kind of like summer camp, because we had, it was a school at one time. It was a kind of like a pseudo cult might have lived there. So we had all of these weird rooms, but they were like these tiny little dorms, but it was the perfect setup for filming. And now they are chock full with filming. Even through COVID, they had people shooting there. It's such a great space. It's awesome.
Yeah, and that seems like a good spot to kind of shoot a COVID movie. Is just you get a large house that has enough variety that you can do a bunch of scenes, and yep. Everyone kind of quarantines there.
Yep. So, you put that bubble up. And,
you were the trendsetter.
I take full credit for everything. This is all me.
And so this movie is about a family, a very messed up family, but a family, and some other people that kind of interact with that family. Did you have any with your time and budget, maybe not, but did you do anything to kind of like get that camaraderie started? Were there any kind of family style events or things like that you did to kind of get them into this mindset?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah. We did a couple dinners. I met all of the cast individually for coffee, but then I'd bring them in with one other actor. There was also an expectation going into this that, if we're going to do it, we're going to do everything we can to try and make this one special. And then one of the things I'm most happy about coming out of this film is that I met these two people on the film. One is one of the main actors, and one was a head of department. And they connected on Broil, and they're about to have their first child, a baby boy, in January. And
that's awesome.
So happy. Yeah, they just kind of came together on the movie, and then I love stories like that.
The family theme comes full circle.
Yeah, hopefully they don't take some of the other stuff from it, but we'll see. Fuck it.
I mean, the Sinclairs were very powerful, so it's.
Yeah, they can have the first 4,999 years. Let's just say for that. Yeah.
It's the last one. And I just have to ask if the title is Broil, and it's a food pun or a food word, but there's probably some other meaning to it. What was kind of the background for that title specifically, or did you just like the way it sounded? Or
Yeah, it is a rough word, and I thought that was quite interesting for a story of this nature. I'll be completely honest. I had a sale. There was another title for it, and then a sales agent came up to me and said, "You got to have something that begins with A, B, or C, so that it gets ranked higher on the lists." I was like, "All right." And then I always liked the double meaning behind broil, where it's a way to like prepare meat where you, in a very specific way, where you put it right up against the flame, like in an oven. And I just like that double meaning, and I just thought that it kind of spoke to some of the themes of the film as well. And
yeah, I mean, it definitely, it has a cooking reference. It also has kind of like high pressure, high temperature setting, and kind of forged in fire, so that that all fits. And you would, I was going to ask about the ABC, because I've talked to a lot of indie filmmakers who had the exact experience. They had a title and then they had to go to like ABC, some sort of play on it or change the title slightly to make it work.
Yep. So. It's this interesting psychology of a lot of these sales agents. So we had a terrible sales agent at the start, but then we were able to shake him. Thank fuck. And now we have this great team. Clay Epstein at Film Mode. He has placed the film in every territory around the world. Him and his team are fantastic. Clay's a super lovely dude, and just like super, easy to talk with, very honest and straightforward. And like, we had 100 emails going back and forward yesterday, and it's just always professional, that sort of thing. And then he actually said to me, "Do you want to go back to the original title for some of these territories?" And I was just like, let's keep Broil. I think a consistent message is good. But I think it's these old hangovers or holdover tricks that maybe once worked back in the day that some sales agents just still have in their minds, and then they're just like, no one's going to buy your movie. No one's going to buy your movie. No one, unless it begins with A, B, or C. I'm like, I don't think that's true. But,
well, I guess I don't know how people browse movies, but I guess if people are kind of browsing some sort of digital movie list, maybe it's arranged alphabetically, but maybe to capture a couple extras.
Like 1 in 1,000, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, sure, go for it. All right. Yeah. And now we have Broil. But look, I love I love the little title, because it stays with you once you figure out how to pronounce it. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah. So now I want to move into, I call it the lightning round. It's just kind of quick questions that are related loosely to the film or the characters. There's a lot of meal questions here just because of the the general theme. You're free to answer as much or as little as you want. You can pass, although I try to keep them pretty answerable.
Love it. Let's do it.
So what's the best meal you've had?
A chicken parmigiana when I was 15 at a ski resort called Falls Creek. It was fantastic.
That's
satisfying.
That is a very kind of, not common's the wrong word, but that's a surprising answer. But I guess that makes sense if you're exhausted and really hungry. There you go.
Yep, that was exactly it, dude. I was frozen coming off the mountain, and then it was just right there. And that was it.
Perfect. What's the worst meal you've had?
My girlfriend's cooking last night.
Oh, this is gonna be published.
Just giving the eyes, but yeah.
What is your ideal or best family get together?
Pass.
Okay. Yep. What is your worst family get together?
A family get together.
All right. Do you have any weird family traditions or friend traditions if you don't have anything with your family?
Family traditions. We sue the shit out of each other, and then we say that, like, hey, Merry Christmas. Do you want to come back for Christmas? Like, fuck no. But yeah.
I'm seeing some shades of the Sinclairs in your personal life. So
I was joking around with everyone on the film, being like, oh yeah, this is a true story. I just added some vampires. Mm-hmm. But it's a true story. I just added some vampires. So, and what I ultimately hope is that, and I think it is connecting with some audiences, is that you take a bit of truth, and if you put a bit of genre into it, it can help people understand what they're going through as well.
Mhm.
And ultimately, it's this battle between entertainment and enlightenment, because you never want to be preachy with the movie. You want it to be a good time, but you also, hope that it has some deeper meaning.
Definitely.
But yeah, I just hope that I can translate some life events that I went through with one side of one side of my family. The other side's great. The English are fantastic, but so that's the big asterisk that I should have, the disclaimer. But yeah, I just hope people can understand what they go through a little easier.
It sounds like this was probably also a very therapeutic writing process for you as well.
Oh yeah, this was just like therapy. It was very cathartic being on set. I remember Annette Riley came up to me one day with it was a dialogue for the scene where she first drops Chance off at the Sinclair house. This is horrible. No kind of mother would say this. And I was like, want to bet? And she was like, oh shit. Because Annette's a mum as well. But yeah, no, like I think that's kind of what's connecting with people, is that family can hurt you more than, I think family feels that they can inflict a kind of pain on each other that you would never inflict to a stranger. And it's just this really interesting dynamic that I wanted to explore in a movie. And yeah.
Well, and also like you showed in the film, family can inflict pain, but then it's tough to you can't really trim them from the family tree. You kind of bound to interact with them still, or you can't really excise them from your life. So it is a very poignant way to show that.
Thanks, dude. Yeah, I mean, and I will say this: Broil is about families tearing themselves apart, but there's talks of doing a sequel, and all the players are ready. It's just a matter of figuring out the schedules and all that. But the sequel is about the family coming back together to support, one family member that's turned into a bit of a wild child with her new powers. And so, yeah, and I think there's a bit of beauty and truth to both those ideas of like, okay, in this story we can explore the ways that family can hurt each other, but here we can take a fractured family and show them coming back together with the common cause of supporting one of their youngest. And
yeah, that's a really great next step. I'm trying to think of what ABC word you'd use. I was thinking like well done, overcooked, or
oh dude, I think it was Cluth. I think it's the one that because I was Googling it, because I've got the script and it's sitting on my desktop, and I knew that this question was going to come, like, what would you call it? And then I was just looking and I was like, Cluth. It's like, Google it, so you'll be able to find a better description than what I can come up with now. But yeah.
I'm just off hearing right now, Cluth doesn't have the same, hit with me as Broil does, but
no. Broil gets it for some reason. I think it's like boil. It kind of yeah.
Al dente? No, it probably wouldn't work.
That's the straight to video spin-off where they all go to resort like in 10 years from now.
There you go. So has quarantine helped your cooking skills?
Oh, I can burn toast, and I can boil water.
All right.
I love to cook. I'm terrible at it, but I love to try. And so when I said that, the worst meal I've ever had is something that my better half that she made, that's not true. It's something that I made for us. And then she's just like, this is unpalatable. Like, you can't eat this. Actually, I flipped burgers. So before moving over to the US, I got this job offer to work at a company, and like, great, get everything together. You need to be here by September 1st. And so for a month, I flipped burgers for about 16 hours a day.
Oh, wow.
If you put me in front of a grill, there's some muscle memory. where I can get the lamb, I can get the egg, I can get everything going like that. But yeah, when it comes to cooking at home, I'm like, hey babe, I made you dinner. It's called Thai food from down the road.
Well, it's a skill. That's a skill too. That's a type of skill. And you're supporting small businesses, so
That's exactly
there
it.
you go.
Yeah.
Hometown hero. So what is your go-to meal?
I go to. In all seriousness, if I am cooking, I can do an omelette. I can do like a mean little omelette. With the sandwich, I think that you've got the wheel, penicillin, and the sandwich is the third greatest thing that mankind has ever come up with. And apparently, as the legend goes, it was sandwiches were created by Turkish horsemen who needed a way to keep their bread fresh. So when they were riding, they would actually load the meat into the bread and then put it under their saddle. And so then whether they were, stop for the night or stop for rest, they had this meat bread combination. And that's apparently, that's one legend of the sandwich.
I was gonna say, that doesn't sound fresh, but it does at least sound warm. So maybe that's who knows.
In my pocket. It's delicious.
I'm glad they made it. Do you have a go-to food truck or food cart?
Oh yeah, totally.
You could just say the type of food if you.
Yeah, I'm blanking on the name, but there's a really good fried chicken one that pops up down the road. I feel so bad. These guys are fantastic. But yeah, when someone really knows how to do chicken,
Yep.
Fantastic.
Yes, agreed. What do they write on your Starbucks cup or independent small coffee company? I don't know where you go for coffee.
Elwood, I guess. Yeah, don't know what it is. Yeah, you should try and see me and the cinematographer Y. Whenever we hang out, they just butcher both of our names. So we both go in and just call ourselves David. We're just like, yeah, I'm David.
Yep.
And they haven't screwed that one up yet.
There you go. I've never had a story about that. So,
Well, I mean, you're David. So do you ever get other weirder ones?
I don't drink a lot of to-go coffee. I usually just make it at home. But I mean, yeah, David's usually pretty easy to spell, so I don't normally get that messed up unless I'm mumbling, which I sometimes do, and then you just get Dan or some other combination of D letters. So
yeah.
What food can you simply not eat other than about half of your cooking?
The other half of my cooking. No, what can I eat? I hate pumpkins. Don't know what it is. I don't trust the texture or the taste. Ever since I was a kid, it's not like I'm allergic to it or anything, but yeah, keep your pumpkin spice lattes away from me.
Oh wow! So the whole gamut. It's not just like fresh pumpkin with maybe too much of the rind. It's like pumpkin flavor. How about pumpkin pie?
Yeah, no.
Oh wow!
Thank you. Yep.
I don't understand. I think maybe you're the demon here.
That's it. Yeah. It's I've always wondered what it was, but it's ever since I was a kid. And there's that thing where your taste buds are supposed to change every 7 years. Pumpkin still hasn't come up on the roulette wheel.
Keep trying.
Yeah. It's yeah.
What is the most dangerous meal you've ever had?
Oh, I went to Thailand and I did the whole crickets and eating that sort of stuff, like street cricket.
Awesome.
Yeah, that sort of a thing. It was very who dares wins, kind of like me and a couple mates being like, bet you wouldn't eat that. You sure about it? And
Did
then,
you go all out? Did you do scorpion?
Never did the scorpion. No. What about you? What's the weirdest you've ever had?
I've had blowfish. I had that in Japan.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was.
What did it taste like? Was it chewy?
It didn't taste like much actually. I don't remember it be like I remember there was a little tiny bit of tingle, but it was less exciting than I thought it would be. And I also had shark fin soup, which also just tasted like a good soup with a little bit of cartilage in it. So
That's so fascinating. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna add that to my bucket list of something to try because it has such like that notoriety. Like that's a risk. You must have really trust that chef.
yeah, we were in a good restaurant, so I figured it was good. It wasn't a street vendor, thankfully.
Street vendor blowfish. Oh god, that's
That sounds like a TV show on one of those extreme television networks.
I love that. That's awesome. That's so funny.
So what would you have for your last meal?
It'd be a sandwich of some kind. I think it would be you take a sourdough ciabatta, lamb, um, cooked medium, lettuce, tomato, a little bit of like a hollandaise sauce, pineapple, and then you gotta have some like really good thick yam fries on the side,
Mhm.
and two of those. That'll be my last meal.
That's a interesting last meal, but that's a good last meal when you describe it. You're kind of like you are a sandwich connoisseur.
Yeah, I'd just be like, you know what, screw it. Let's go out like riding that cholesterol train all the way to the station. Yep.
Well, awesome. And you kind of mentioned the quarantine movie and another future project. Is that kind of what's next for you?
Yeah, it's been mental. I won't lie. It's actually been. I've never been busier in my life than during quarantine, and it's this. Yeah. So I did this sci-fi film in Atlanta, and we wrapped an hour before the quarantine hit.
Oh, wow.
And then about a week later, we got approval for this next movie. And they're like, great, but it has to shoot. And so we wrapped that this past Sunday. So not, Sunday 4 days ago, but Sunday past. So we did that. And then, so that was interesting. So that's two films back to back.
Mhm.
And now they want me to go and do another one. But then I've got this Tim Murphy project that I really want to. The Tim Murphy project is more, it's like In Bruges meets Hell or High Water. It's very
Oh,
much
I like that.
yeah. It's a special little script, and it's a massive departure from anything I've ever done, and it scares the hell out of me. But I love the idea of just rising up to the challenge, and we're going to shoot 16 mil. And I just think that it's going to give this really timeless energy to it. And I think that there's just a way for audiences to connect with Tim in a way that they haven't before as well. Because I think that Tim is honestly one of the best actors working. And I'd put him next to Daniel Day-Lewis. And I can say that with a straight face. When you see not just the performance he gives on set, but off set, everyone stands up a little bit straighter when he enters the room. And the younger actors, he lifts up these younger actors, and it's so inspiring. But yeah, I'm so grateful to have kind of Tim in my life, and yeah.
That sounds awesome. 16 mil, that's interesting. I imagine that that's going to be difficult to work with, but I'm excited to see the results.
Me too. It scares the hell out of me. And I think that if something scares you, you should run towards it. So that's why I'm running towards the blowfish right after this, and then
Perfect.
16
Except for
mil.
coronavirus. We should not run the coronavirus. This is the official statement of the website.
All right, we can do like a little ends. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, dude. Thanks so much for taking the time. Thanks for digging Broil.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for making it. It's I see a lot of movies in this hobby that I have, and it's always fun when kind of one that you don't really expect just kind of like knocks your socks off. You kind of wait for that moment when you're just popping something in, and then you just kind of like get into it from the start and really love it. It's
Awesome.
definitely puts a smile on your face.
No, I'm so grateful that that it's speaking to people, because there was so this is the second interview that I've done for it. Sorry, you weren't my first. But,
It'll be quicker on the draw.
The first one was last night, but there was this moment of that I came to afterwards where I'm like, it's out in the world now. It's there was this really beautiful feeling of people are either gonna it's going to speak to them or it won't. And I really hope that they can just find a little bit of truth to help them understand what they're going through. And yeah, I love this little movie. So thank you so much for supporting it.
No, thank you so much for making it. I also loved it. The reviews on the website. Broil comes out on October 13th, so it's just in time to kind of get the family together for Halloween. Since no one's gonna be trick-or-treating, you can watch this movie. This is Ed Drake. He's the writer, director, and cameo star. We'll go with cameo star of Broil. So thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, David. You have a good one, mate.
All right, you too. Thank you. Well, I hope you're all fulfilled after that interview. That was Edward Drake talking about Broil, a new horror family drama that's available October 13th. If you like this interview, please like and subscribe this channel. It helps us out a lot and makes sure all of the new videos go straight to you. And as always, please go to watcherpass.com for all your movie reviews, interviews, and recommendations. Thank you.
you